Like you're just every once in a while you're like, in this week's number one list, like just there's just a little dip. There's just a tiny little dip of diction that says Gavin's had a few. And then this is Gaytriarchs. So you know how I have a challenging daughter, and
she's beautiful.
She's beautiful,
and that's all that matters.
It is all that matters in life is that you're skinny and rich, but
and right and beautiful
and beautiful. I mean, yes. So we were having a night, and it was one of those like 45-minute temper tantrum at bed, running away from me, slamming doors. It was just like one of those.
It's all your fault.
It's all my fault, but it was just like one of those really. I was losing my cool. She was gone into another dimension. Anyway, and after I finally closed the door, it was like breaking out of the room. It was just nonstop, and it was excuse after excuse after excuse. It was like, I hit my lip on the thing. I need ice. I need a new water. My foot hurts. It was like all the things. Right?
Is your son just sleeping through all of this?
Sometimes he does, and sometimes he gets upset. Honestly, and that's one of like the real reasons I get annoyed. But anyway, so the night is going terribly, and she keeps saying like, "But I hit my lip, and I did this," and I'm like, "Stop it! You're making shit up. Go to bed." Like I'm like, I've had it. Mm-hmm. So I go to bed feeling guilty as usual, just replaying the night and where could I have done better. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get there in the morning and I'm going to tell her, listen, you were making stuff up, but I really want you to do better and whatever. So I walk into her room.
Also I love you no matter what. And
also I love you no matter what. So I walk into her room in the morning and I say, hey, honey, I'm here. And she sits up and she's got a giant cut on her lip full of blood. She was telling the truth. And I said, stop making shit up in the dark. I didn't even look for it. Lay back down. And I closed the door. So if anybody out there is looking for worst father of the year, that would be me. You've
come to the right podcast.
Yeah, you've come here.
To always know that you are better than us. We will always stand as examples of horrible parenting and dads of the year in the sarcastic sense, not the sincere sense. You know what this reminds me of? You might be ending your night. You might be ending your night with terrible dad behavior brought on by terrible daughter behavior. Ooh. But I'm starting my day with that because we are in the thick of summertime camps and whatnot. And my daughter was asked to be a little free labor helper at a summer camp for the last 2 weeks. And we've been super proud of her because she seems to have stepped up. And the teacher was like, she was so great. And she immediately was at my feet saying, hey, what can I do next? What can I do next? And both my partner and I were like, are we talking about the same child? Really? I mean, she's proactive and helpful and all the things, which reminds us that who are the assholes in this podcast? Obviously, your daughter and me.
Yes.
But not our children, or not my child. Well, not our children.
It is especially their fault when they purposely do things right in an effort to piss us off, because it was a deliberate measure on my daughter's part to purposely hit her. She
sabotaged your night and your mental health
100%. So did your daughter.
Yes.
Your daughter was kind and helpful to pull the rug out from you. Yeah,
but she wakes up every single morning furious with the world, and we're not waking her up at 5:30 in the morning like we have to in the during the school year. We're pushing 8:05, 8:10 because we got to be out the door in 40 minutes. And man, I mean, every single morning, A, everything is our fault because we didn't, fill up her water bottle. Mm-hmm. B, everything is our fault because we didn't make the lunch that she wanted. C, everything is our fault because we, opened the door for her, but we did it too quickly. So she had to step back to it. It's exhausting. It's just exhausting.
Speaking of like cunning people and divisive people.
Yeah.
So this will surprise you, Gavin, sit down. I am a bit of a curmudgeon when it comes to particular things in my life. One of them is a call out of nowhere from like a salesman. And then the other one is people knocking on my door to like sell me things, right? If you're knocking on my door,
does that happen still? Are these people selling encyclopedias?
They're selling solar panels and they're selling.
You live in the suburbs, for sure.
So the doorbell rings and I'm practicing choreography in the kitchen because that's what I do for my job. And I look out the window and I can see like keep in mind my pride flag is out. I should have done that to set up the story. There's a guy in like a monogrammed polo who like walks back down the stairs and is standing by the street. And I was like, here we go. Here's another fucking douchey salesman, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I walk out there and I open the door and it's the most beautiful man I've ever seen.
And you're like, I don't even care what it is or how much it costs. I'm on my knees begging to buy this thing from you.
Yes, but wait. So I'm like, no, don't talk to me. I don't like you. I lie. You know, I'm like, I don't own the house. Like, I just want him gone, even though he's super hot.
I don't speak English.
This motherfucker, and it is hot out there, I will say. But this motherfucker, you know, like when guys will like lift their shirt up to wipe the sweat off their their mouth to show you their stomach. This motherfucker pulls that move. And he has got the most incredible midsection I've ever seen in my entire life. And then he continued to sales pitch me. I said, bitch, you saw the pride flag. You heard me say no. He did. And you said, we're moving this to DEF CON 3.
Yeah.
and so I wasn't interested in anything, but, you know, so now we have solar panels and no, but I literally put it on the list to talk about today because I was like, what a genius move by a salesperson to go, look at these faggots. They like dudes. I've got great abs. Look at them. Maybe they'll buy my shit. Honestly, I almost bought them.
Did you get gay vibes from him at all?
Zero. I got the straight guy who plays that card perfectly.
Well, bravo, straight guy playing honestly, that card. Bravo. I remember being in my doctor's office years ago, and I feel like every single pharmaceutical rep, which he always had pharmaceutical reps coming into his office, every single time I was there, which was frankly not frequently, but I assumed that the pharmaceutical reps were there frequently, and they were all super hot dudes with undoubtedly abs. And they played the straight card very well. Who knows if they were or not, but yeah, you just never know. Never know. That seems like an amazing dad hack, by the way, though. If you are a desperate seller of some sorts and you've got abs, and who cares what your gender is, but
go to the gays and show them.
You see that American flag and you go to, or excuse me, the pride flag, and you go show your abs. So
for those of you out there who don't know, we're recording this about 11 hours before release because we have been so busy. And Gavin texted me honestly. Before we're recording at 8:19 p.m. the night before this is released. And Gavin texted me, goes, I will be drunk. And so the slurring you hear is earnest. But what is also earnest is our best friend and my future ex-wife, Sam, from the Baby Ready podcast, DM'd us the other day because she listened to the episode with Jamie Grayson, which was last week. And she sent me a DM and I want to read it to you because no, it's a good one.
Okay.
I want to read it. So she is also what they call a child restraint technician is what they're called. It's the safety specialist in Canada.
Which is not the same as holding kids down while they're having temper tantrums,
correct.
To be clear, right?
So she said, I wanted to add to the point that Jamie made today about car seat costs. Car seats are 100% political, as you all talked about, but with the tariffs leading to increased costs, that makes them prohibitive. Sure, some may get them secondhand from sketchy sources, but more than that, I worry about the people who don't get them at all and hope to keep their babies safe, but not believing that they have another choice. Let's have politicians rally for keeping costs down, not pushing them up when it comes to making sure our children are safe. She's got a fucking point.
She does.
So everyone go listen to the Baby Ready podcast. But also, Sam, you're totally right. And that's why we had Jamie on. And everything is political.
Sadly, I love that everything's political in the sense of like, I love politics, but
everything affects your life.
Yeah.
Everything affects your life.
But you know what's not political?
What?
Gaytriarchs. And tell us about your dad hack of the week, will you?
Are you kidding me? This is the most political issue in the world. By the way, fuck Trump.
Subversively.
Fuck every one of you who voted for him. I hope you die. All right. So my dad hack of the week. I realized as I was walking through my kitchen, I own it. And I and it was something I stole from another parent, and it has saved me. If you're the dad, I am the dad who cooks all meals. So I'm in charge of getting dinner ready, getting lunches ready, planning or whatever. And it just, the Sunday comes around, you go, how many more times are we doing tacos and burgers? And like what am I going to do? And I went to a friend's house and they had one of these like magnetic menu boards with like chalk markers laid up against the fridge. And, all she wrote was like pizza, mac and cheese, like whatever. Just having it written down where it says Wednesday we were doing this, and you can either plan to buy that stuff that day or whatever. When I say hack, I mean it absolutely changed the stress level for me, because I went, all right, I have everything we need from Monday through Thursday. For Friday, I'm going to need to get pork loin or whatever. So I am encouraging all of you out there. I think it was $14 on Amazon. It's a magnetic menu board, and it has saved our family. And now, by that my kids can read, they look at the board every week and they start crying and complaining about what's on there. So it's a lot of fun
ahead
for
of time.
everyone.
Ahead of time. So this episode was brought to you by the Amazon menu corkboard, and please go buy one and then give us a donation of 57 cents. So I was wondering, though, until you talked about your kids learning to read and them crying ahead of time, I was thinking, wait, is this helping you or is it helping the kids? Because I got to say, with a 13-year-old girl who does not still has a problem with, change and surprises, I find myself needing to be able to write out her schedule for the entire week. And as long as she knows what's coming, she doesn't freak out. But surprises are not her jam. So maybe I need to turn this dad hack also not just into a menu board, but like a calendar. Here's everything that's happening in your day board. Not just a calendar, but here's a reminder of this, that, and the other.
Yeah, for me, it's absolutely just for me, only because like just to know what's
to see it,
because it's floating in my head. Like I could make pork chops tonight. It's like, no, this is what we're doing tonight. We have the stuff. It's really nice.
You plan in advance on Sundays, and by Wednesday when your brain is completely fried. That's very helpful. I love that. I'm adopting it.
All right.
So guess what? There's absolutely no good news out in the world, but I found a couple of quick things. Okay, so. Remember Donald Trump's, oh God, we shouldn't even say he doesn't even deserve to be mentioned on this, does he? No. Okay.
The idiot. Voldemort.
Yeah, Voldemort and his dumbass big boffo bill, right? Well, guess what? Those fuckers tried to slide in some anti-trans legislation into the big bullshit bill, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? The Senate parliamentarian who, considering the fact that probably is a nonpartisan role, but I don't know. The Senate parliamentarian who makes the senators abide by all of the rules and the traditions of the Senate said, whoa. This anti-trans action is actually violating the Byrd rule based upon West Virginia Senator Byrd, which says that all of the reconciliation bills must be tied to finance. They can't have extraneous issues. So the parliamentarian was like, you can't squeeze a bunch of bullshit anti-trans stuff into this big bullshit bill. And I just want to say, thank you, Senate parliamentarian, for abiding by actual legal precedent. So that's good news, I think.
Is that the same as the Senate bottom? Is that the same guy? The one who got fucked in that video? Remember? Sorry, did I mess you with your groove? I'm trying to push us through. We got to be done in 3 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, a judge dropped a bullshit case against an Illinois trans woman who was going to the bathroom in Florida and is believed to be the first trans person who was arrested in Florida based upon their anti-trans bathroom bill.
So stupid.
But listen, the judge threw it out and they're like, listen, you didn't cross all the T's and dot all the I's based on filling out the nonsensical paper.
Oh my God, Gavin. This episode is released in 11 minutes, and you're just slurring.
I don't know the ticket they got. I don't know if they got a ticket in the bathroom or what, but nevertheless, the judge threw it out, so that's a good thing. And also, there's back to Illinois. There's a Chicago eatery that had a pop-up spoofing Chick-fil-A, and what it was, they called it Chick Feel Gay, and they were selling chicken sandwiches all over the city of Chicago, and that is all good gay news in my view.
God, you know what's not good or gay?
Our DILF of the week? I think you skipped something. No, we still have a DILF.
Well, you didn't put it in the outline. Sorry.
I did. Well, right. Well, there it is. But trust me, guess what? We have a DILF of the week. And who did I ask?
God, that was a good transition too. Okay.
It was mediocre. Guess what? ChatGPT chose our DILF of the week this week. And who is it?
Who?
Henry Cavill, the hot Superman.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Come on, gay icon. Like you're in your lycra and your bulges all over the place.
Superman
so
in general is a gay icon for sure.
Absolutely. So he, you know what? I don't even know if he's a dad or if he's gay, but the fact is he could be both. But Chat GPT chose our DILF of the week, and I think that's hilarious. What else is hilarious?
What?
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, God. Unfortunately, this is your list, so you're going to go first. What are we going to talk about today?
So this week, I suggested having the top 3 recipes that you should bring, or dishes that you should bring to a summer barbecue, okay? Mm-hmm. Because, I don't know, it's all so cliche, right? And maybe we lean into the cliche or maybe we don't. So for me, number 3 is ribs. Ribs are actually really easy to make.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit of advanced planning, but it's easy to make, and you can eat them hot or cold or whatever. So I think number 3, a bowl of ribs, is a little bit of a surprise and super tasty, and everybody always loves them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, French onion dip and ruffles.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
classic.
If you think, but is that the taste of 1989 to you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, were you born in 1989
Yes,
yet?
but yes, no.
So, I was at 2 parties.
To me, that's a pool party. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, well, whatever it is, I feel like last weekend, which was the 4th of July, because we are recording this 11 hours before it's released, I took Ruffles and French onion dip, prepackaged obvi. There was no Einigarten involved in this. Mm-hmm. And guess what? The crudité and the prosciutto and cheese was still left behind. But what was not left behind?
Yeah.
The Ruffles and the French onion dip, because
it's a hot
1989
dish.
is back, baby. Number 1, not pasta salad, because nobody likes pasta salad.
You can't have a negative top.
I can.
One.
I did. I'm a negative top once in a while, and I think not pasta salad
negative
is
top. That's funny.
Exactly the number 1. Don't bring pasta salad. Does anybody really? There's always leftovers.
No,
it's never empty.
Good enough. It's never good enough.
Never good enough.
Yeah, that's never good enough.
What about you, David? Speaking of never good enough.
Yeah, so I'm realizing that mine are very vintage, but also I think mine are requirements at all summer barbecues. For number 3 for me, Mexican corn salad. It sounds fancy. It's just corn and some cojita cheese.
And mayonnaise.
And like all the bullshit. But it feels real good at a summer barbecue. Number 2, speaking of vintage, I made this the other day. It is a fucking hit. Strawberries and cream icebox cake. Do you know what an icebox cake is? Where you take cookies and you layer it with whipped cream and you let it sit in the fridge for a day so it softens into like cake form.
What kind of cookies though?
Like if wafers? You do a chocolate one, it could be vanilla wafers, it could be Oreos, it could be anything like that. I do strawberries and cream, so I'll do like vanilla Oreos, whipped cream, and strawberries. Ooh, it's fucking delicious. Number 1, the number 1 thing you need to bring to all barbecues: ice. I don't mean like to take away your friends. I mean a bag, an 8-pound bag of, gas station ice. Everyone needs ice.
Yeah.
Even when they say don't bring ice, bring ice. We all need it. It's too fucking hot outside.
It's so hot right now. Okay, what's next week?
Next week, what are your top 3 taco toppings?
Our guest today is all about sex. And David, he wants you to be all about sex, but not in your teenager, giggly, repressed, embarrassed, puritanical way, but like in a profound and spiritual and open-minded way. So he's like, well, definitely too mature for anything that goes on this podcast. Mm-hmm. But he's a certified somatic sex coach, not to be confused with a traditional sex coach or, frankly, a psychotherapist for that matter, but that all plays a part in what he does. And he's also, most importantly, a gay dad. Welcome to the show, the guy who probably knows more dick jokes than even David does. Here's Court Vox. Thank you for joining us, Court.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So, knowing that your kid is grown, you have a 21-year-old son, I bet there are still ways that he's already driven you bonkers recently. Can you tell us how?
Yeah, I think that the thing right now that I'm working with him on is being more responsible with kind of like adulting. Uh-huh. And so he has his own jobs and he's doing really well with that. And, he lives with my mom, his grandma, and he has to pay rent now.
Ooh.
And It's not a lot, but we're having an exercise. So when he moves into the real thing that he has an experience of paying on time, and it's really hard to get him to pay that rent on time. I'm like, this landlord job is for the birds. So, yeah, but it's a difficult thing, and I feel like it's important for him to learn. And best he do it now instead of being out in the real world where he's like 10 days late, and they're not so kind with that.
And I feel like when maybe I don't know how your mom is, but like grandmothers in general, those are soft targets. Oh my God. They are so easy to manipulate. My son will look in the general direction of a toy, and my mom has purchased 40 of them. No.
Well, what is your grandmother like as a landlord? I mean, is this a good way to ease him into real life, or is she a taskmaster?
I'm actually the landlord. So,
okay.
So just to kind of understand the family dynamics, my mom and I raised my son together. I adopted Connor we adopted Connor when he was 4 years old. He is my sister's biological son. My sister passed 3 years ago. She finally succumbed to drugs after a lifetime battle. And so,
condolences for that. That's really,
thank you.
You've been on a journey for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey, a little bit different than some gay dads. And I think there's a lot of gay dads that have stepped up to take care of family children and, be parents for kids that have lost parents or parents who weren't able to. And so, huge respect to those men and women who step up in that way.
So then was parenting on your long-term plan when you suddenly found yourself a dad?
Oh, no. I was not on my long-term plan. I was that guy that would go to restaurants and be like, don't sit me next to the kids.
Yeah.
They'd be like, general direction towards the children and be like, no, that's not going to work for me.
Or that's still me.
That's still you.
That's still me. Don't put me near other people's kids. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would be like, oh God, these kids are so unruly. Like if I were a parent, this would never happen. And then
Universal.
I had one, and he was like the kid throwing spaghetti everywhere and like screaming and yelling and laughing and running through the restaurant. That was my gift.
Yeah. It's like, I can't believe those parents are just putting an iPad in front of their kid. If I was a parent, they would all be playing with Montessori toys all day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And we all capitulate. So, I mean, knowing that it wasn't on your plan, though, tell us a little bit more, would you, about how you stepped into the role? It was clearly out of necessity and survival, but you were like, I guess I'm doing this.
It happened very quickly. For reasons I won't get into, my sister wasn't able to care for him when he was around 9 months old. And my mom had stepped in to take care of him. And she was in a really bad accident. And she had to be in the hospital for 3 months, and there was nobody else. And so he came to live with me for the first time, me and my partner at the time, when he was 9 months old. And, from that point on, it just became this back and forth between my mom and I, because she was in and out of the hospital for the next 10, 15 years.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And also my sister was in and out of rehab. And by the time he was 4, it just became apparent that she wasn't going to rise to the occasion. And so we made a decision to adopt him officially, just to kind of, it was easier to be his parents and kind of move with doctors and get him benefits and things like that. But we didn't have access to when he wasn't my son. So it was something that was like actually overnight. It wasn't a plan. It was sort of like this incident happened, and it was like, we need you to take him. And so I kind of became a dad overnight, which was, I look back on it and I was in full survival mode. It was very scary, very kind of, I was just kind of acting on impulse. And
people make fun of gays for having all the audacity, but guess what? Gays also have all the capacity. Bitch, we can step up and do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had just moved in with my first boyfriend a month previously.
Yikes.
I just graduated college 3 months earlier. So there was a lot of like life changes happening, and it just kind of like all came to a head. And so it was a really big moment in my life, a really big shift.
Gosh.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And so you were working on impulse, but ultimately your instincts drove you well, right? I mean, I understand. We all make mistakes along the way, but you made it happen. And he's now a 21-year-old who's working, who's working and paying rent, maybe not always on time. So you did it.
Yeah. I look at some parents online, and a friend of mine posted something the other day, and she was like, we barely got out of the house, and this is what my daughter looks like today, and her clothes are all over the place. And I wrote her and I said, you know what? It was a success. You guys got dressed.
Yeah.
And you guys got out the door. Like, just celebrate that as a win.
It's the simple shit. It really, really is. So now, but wait a minute. You were fresh out of college. David, can you imagine being a gay dad, just having moved in with your first boyfriend out of college? I mean, this has the makings of a movie, which, by the way, have you already sold your movie rights?
Good. Then Gavin and I were on our knees behind the Walmart trash can after college. Like, what are you talking about? Like, to have that sort of, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it was big.
It only vaguely reminds me of a previous guest we had, Stephen Rowling, who wrote The Gunkle, of like the uncle.
I know Stephen, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, well, there you go.
I know his partner, yeah.
Your story is much more intense than his is, though, that's for sure.
But we've had a lot of guests on the show who have come to become dads and by non-traditional, I mean not adoptive, ways. Not surrogacy, unconventional ways. Craig Ramsey, our very first guest, also becomes a dad by exactly.
So you were a super young dad in a pool of probably not old parents, but certainly older than you were. What was it like? Did you do PTA meetings and stuff with people who were 15 years older? And were they hot, by the way, also? The dads?
No. I was 23 when Connor was born. And so I was really young. And I worked for Yahoo at the time, and I was really lucky. We had a really great preschool that was on our campus that I had access to.
Fantastic.
That he was able to go to. And, the parents were by and large like 15, sometimes 20 years older than me. And that was hard. I mean, it wasn't just hard being 20 years younger, but being in sort of this family dynamic that's not a traditional family I wasn't even like two gay dads. It was like a gay dad, a grandma, and as much as people like to say they have open minds, they're really judgmental.
No, they have open mind. They can push the boundaries a little bit from a heteronormative nuclear family, but that's just like, we're swapping out a girl for a boy. But something like you're saying, non-traditional, I can absolutely see how people would be judgmental. And also, you have to do this thing constantly, which is like re-explain your situation to every new person. And then you have to decide every time, how much am I going to say and how much of it I'm just going to say I'm his dad.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got to the point where I would say something like, you know what, when I know you a little better, I'll tell you the story.
Oh, that's a good one.
But people would ask me, and they still ask me very strange questions like, how did you get him?
Yeah.
Or where did he come from? As if like I just ordered him online or something. So like the
Temu baby.
The like desensitivity to like the actual questions and the privilege right to even ask the question that people have is there's some audacity there that I've learned to shut down and call people out on in kind of soft but poignant ways.
Well, I love the way you said, like, I'll tell you when we know each other a little bit better. That's what a great one. Because it's not dickish, but it is saying, hey, here's my line, and you're not on this side of it yet. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you not telling us that on our podcast, since we are clearly leaning into our audacity, but your story is really
we are all the audacity. Yeah, we have all the audacity.
Yeah, I also think, people want to know, but I also question why they want to know. And, this is with all things. And the other piece to that is, this is only partly my story. And a lot of it's his story too. And so I'm mindful of, who I'm sharing it with and how, and, he's in a place in his life where, he shares this story openly. And so that feels more in alignment with me sharing it more openly.
And so what was your saving grace, or what did you rely on? Were there books you read, or just friends you asked? And obviously your mom was a partner in it, which is awesome. But ultimately, what got you through? Was it just instinct?
I the whole first 3 years is a little blurry because the sleep was so sporadic. And I was trying to work and also take care of him, and it was really hard, trying to keep my relationship together. My first boyfriend, Peter, was really lovely with him. And, also working a really stressful, full-time job. And so I had that. I had a community of kind of like ragtag humans, as I like to call them.
Nice.
Who would help out. And this feels awkward to say, but one of our best friends, she used to be the publicist to Guns N' Roses, Rat, Warren DeMartini, a lot
amazing.
Of and she had a lot of friends who were sex workers, and one of her Slash's ex-wife is actually a former madam.
Amazing.
And at the time I needed a nanny. And so I hired this woman who was like an ex-sex worker, which feels so appropriate in my line.
In your life. Yeah.
In my whole lineage of life. It's like, of course that's who was there in my life. But, I think it was still challenging to find people. And I sometimes didn't make the right choices with people and, rectified those quickly, but it's hard. It was I would love to say, it was all like roses.
Oh,
and,
no, this is
wrong podcast.
We wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
We wouldn't believe you, because it's not roses for anybody ever. I mean, there are moments of rosiness, but no matter your situation or David's situation or my situation, it's all tough.
And also, I honestly, actually, that is a great transition. Like, madam of like sex workers to a daycare nanny. Like, to me, those are the equal skills. I'm running a tight ship. No bullshit happens under my watch. I am in charge of all of you.
We are keeping safe.
But there is a feminine energy. Yeah.
There are limits. Yes. Everybody's safe. We're all kind and we're respectful. And feminine matriarchy for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what I have come to learn now is that erotic energy, sexual energy is healing energy. Those people have healer in them, and there's so much stigma and narrative around these people, but I think it stems ultimately from jealousy, because those people have access to their bodies. They have access to an embodiment and a capacity to be with people at their most vulnerable, their most deepest desires. And, that is not a job for everyone.
Yeah.
So when people think, oh, it's so easy to just be a whore, it's not. It's a really, it requires a human that has capacity to hold physical, emotional, mental capacities, because a majority of those types of clients, they're not just coming for sex. They're coming for companionship, and they're looking to remedy loneliness. They're looking to seek out people who will help them expand their pleasure and help them dig into fantasies and explore them without shame and without judgment.
That's, I think, that to me is the cornerstone of that. Is it's the one space I feel like I'm free of judgment, so I can maybe find a truthful part of myself. Yep. And that actually leads us great into you. I want to know about you, Court, because we know how you became a dad. We know a little bit about that, but who are you? Tell us everything about you. Go.
Well, that's a really big question. I think just in telling this story, and you guys said, we could make a movie out of this. I think I'm
planning to already.
Yeah,
thinking about how to get the rights.
I've lived a lot of lives already. I'm 45. In this lifetime, I have had a lot of lives. I worked in corporate for a while, Yahoo, and then Disney. I also was a lead singer in a boy band, and then I was a lead singer in a band.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And that was a big part of my life for about 15 years. And then I kind of transitioned into this work, started to about 8 years ago, have been doing this professionally for 6. Mm-hmm. And so, just there's been a lot of I'm like a cat with 9 lives. I feel like I'm on the 4th one.
Why did you set up Body Vox, this company?
Yeah,
and actually, before you even say that, can you say what is this work?
So I am a somatic sex and intimacy coach. I work with clients one-on-one. I predominantly work with LGBTQ men and straight cis women. I work with gay couples, and I also work with straight couples. I created this work because I felt a calling to help people explore their erotic potential, their pleasure. It's something that is not part of our vocabulary, our lexicon. And what is a part of our lexicon is shame and fear. And that's just not a great place to approach sex from. It's not a great place to approach our bodies from. And so I was called to create a company, a business, a practice, really, of supporting humans to find their erotic body, to realign, to remember. A lot of this is I'm giving people tools and toys to remember their essence. And it's interesting that I'm speaking to you about, being a parent, but if I could give myself one piece of advice as a parent, like going back, I think it would be to support and foster the essence of my son rather than try to mold him into what everybody else wanted him to be, including myself. Because he had and still has a very strong personality, a willful personality. And instead of trying to fight that and move it into like, sit still, you stay here, I probably would have put him in, homeschool and found different alternatives that worked better for him as a human and supported his essence and supported his natural personality. Because at this point, he is who he is still. And, it was just a lot of like, fighting to figure out our place together. And finally, I do understand him. And it's been 21 years of trying to figure that out.
What is there a direct link between repressing our child selves and then living truth as an adult?
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to go back to my childhood. I went to private school. I started in kindergarten. And I remember we would go to have reading class. And we had these small carpet squares that we had to sit in. And we had to walk single file line like army children to get from place to place. And it created structure, it created order in the school, but it also created there was no room for personality or autonomy. And so this idea of like, sit still on this little carpet, do not get outside of that square, get back in there. Your leg is outside that carpet. Sit crisscross applesauce. There we go. Good job. It was very regimented. And I think that is the message that we are giving people constantly is be quiet, sit still. So that is like, close your voice, put your body into stillness and ignore the amount of movement that you're wanting to access. And that is not a child. A child, and it's not a human. Like, we are designed to move. We are designed to speak, to sing, to yell, to scream. And we wonder why we're so like, why am I feeling this necessity to just like break out of my own skin? And so this is the somatic piece around sexuality. It's like, this is the whole body. It's voice, it's movement, it's our sound, it's our access to choice, to make choice and voice. Oftentimes we're guiding children to make choices that don't always benefit them. I remember, my mom is a lovely human, and she is one of the reasons I am so sexually liberated and free. She was very open about talking about masturbation and things like that, and sex, and we always had conversations. And I'm going to get more to that in a second, why I think that's important. But I lost my train of thought.
I just kept thinking about when you're saying we're driven to this or driven to that. I'm often driven to the Cheesecake Factory, which is probably why my sexual proclivity is very small. But I think what you say,
I could actually name why you do that too.
Yeah.
Wait. Please do.
Yeah.
Why does he do that?
When we suppress things, it has to be expressed in some way. And so that is your expression, right? Mm-hmm. If I don't know what you're suppressing, and you may not even know, it could be like a litany of things. But there is, the more you suppress something, it will be expressed somewhere. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, we're talking about family dynamics, we're talking about field energy as well. And so you might be repressing something and you're not able to express it, but your child might be able to.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, this is all wonderful information, but for our dads out there, maybe who have kind of fallen victim, like a lot of us do, to the kind of the slog of parenting, especially those first couple of years, and they feel like they've kind of lost themselves sexually, and they're just kind of shells of their former gay selves. What is like maybe one kind of very practical beginning piece of advice for one of these dads who kind of wants to start to reclaim that part of themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I work with a lot of gay dads, which is so interesting because when I was a dad, I had the hardest time finding gay dads to support me, to be in community with. And now it just feels like they're coming out of the woodwork. I think there is a gestation period, in those early years where it's really important to kind of hunker down, and, you do have to decide where your energy goes. And a lot of your energy is supporting this new life. And, I would call that erotic energy.
Is that because you're getting as in tune with your own instincts for survival as any?
I think it's survival instincts, but I think it's more than that. I think when I'm talking about erotic energy, I'm not always talking about sex. I think we put our erotic energy into our sex, but we also put it into various parts of our lives. And erotic energy is life force energy. It's the thing that drives us. It's the things that makes us, wants us to wake up in the morning. And, as much as some days parenting is survival, that's not why most of us have had children. There's a life force energy of wanting to give life to this. And so, those first couple years of giving literal life to someone who is not able to provide for themselves, a lot of that energy is going there. Mm-hmm. And so, coming out of that, of like, okay, they're finally going to go to preschool and I have some free time. Mm-hmm. There's some, there's a transition phase in there, which is sort of like, who am I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who am I? And like, who is this? What is this body that I inhabit? Mm-hmm. It's sort of like,
because I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's also, what I think it's two things. I think it's one is like, I want to find myself again, but there's also the like, in that period that I feel like I wasn't myself, I've changed. Massively. And so I have to find myself in my new life again, which is, I think sometimes you can get confused between the two.
Yeah, I think kind of getting into comparing and contrasting of yourself is a dead end game. I think the more important questions is like being in inquiry and curiosity of who am I right now? What are my desires in this moment? Going back to who you were before your child is sort of like you said, you are not the same person.
They don't exist anymore. Yeah.
And, to consider, and this is something I talk to couples a lot that have been together for multiple years, is every 7 years, your body completely turns over on a cellular level. So you're not the same. Your cellular body is not the same as it was 7 years ago. So consider that when you're talking about your erotic life and your sex life, of like, especially with a partner, is like, we're not the same people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And instead of like going, I miss that old part of myself, and that's like a process too of grieving what was, but also like being inquiry of like, what does my body want now? What do I desire now? who am I now? And if we can look at that from a place of excitement instead of dread, like that's a really great place to be.
Yeah. I mean, Gavin, what is your answer? What do you want now other than nachos and more Love Island? I mean, what else do you want?
I just wanted him to analyze you.
No. He doesn't have the skill set whatsoever to deal with this mountain of crazy.
I am so curious to know, you started this business while your son was a teenager, which is what level of... I'm imagining my children reacting to me doing something like this, and the cringe factor would be off the charts. They'd be like, ew, gross, no. And by the way, we do talk about sex at home. It is not a taboo subject. But what was that like on a superficial teenager parent level?
You know, I actually don't know. Like, I probably need to ask him now. But it didn't feel like a big deal. You know, we've always talked about sex. We've always talked about drugs in our house from like a really early age. And I think it's important to talk about sexuality from the beginning, like it's just a normal part of life. I think kind of gatekeeping certain information that's age appropriate is important.
Sure.
But to not talk about it is a disservice to both of you. And I think parents and adults often parentify children's erotic and sexual experiences. We overlay our shit and our stories on them. And really, they're in this very innocent place of exploration and exploring their bodies. And if we can just sort of support them with questions for them and inquiries for them to have of themselves, you know, and keeping the door open for them to ask questions and to share with you, and to, before you answer, kind of check in with yourself and go, okay, I need to answer this from a place that's not triggering my own stuff, my own overlay of my insecurities around sexuality, so that I'm not giving that to them.
I mean, that's just the same. I mean, like what you're saying is so true for what you're talking about, which is kind of the erotic part, but it's so true about all parenting, right? We're all trying not to pass along whatever issues we had and kind of poison the well of whatever naturally our kids want to do, whether it's like being in a certain sport or doing certain or going to college or being like that person you've kind of desired them to be. I feel like that's such a universal parenting issue that we're all fighting, good and bad.
Do you have examples of thought-provoking questions you might pose to children at an age-appropriate level? But what are I mean, you specifically said we need to pose questions to foster their thoughts. Do you have suggestions of what those might be?
Well, like, you know, my sister and I were both like avid masturbators. We'd be like in the living room rubbing it out on the carpet, and my mom would simply come and put her hand on her back and say, you know, it's okay to do that, but you need to go in your room. And so it's sort of like,
wow,
you know, this is okay. And also it's not okay to do it here. Like you go to a private space for that.
She tried to take the shame out of the kind of adjustment.
It was like, there was no shame around it. It was just sort of like, you know, pick it up and put it somewhere else. That's
right.
You know, and so I think it's little things like that. She also would give us books that were around sex, like, you know, books that really talked about how babies were made and didn't just talk about the mechanics of it, but the pleasure of it and the love that was in the space, which I think is absent a lot of times from sex education. Is we go directly to anatomy, we go to the fear, we go through, you know, the diseases you can get, as well as like the mechanics of how it works. But we're not speaking about the emotional, the mental, kind of the somatic relationship that people have with sex. And I think it's just as important to speak about that.
You know, in my day job, I work in arts and arts advocacy, and we talk a lot about pleasure, and it's hard to not feel some titillation when you talk about pleasure, when in reality, what we're talking about is wanting to be able to bring pleasure into people's life through the arts. And that pleasure is just the feeling of listening to live music, or the pleasure when you paint something. But it's funny how we have in our puritanical society kind of made pleasure to be almost a bad word, huh? It's
Yeah, I mean
loss.
that is a word that you can't even write on social media anymore. You have to.
It's another one of those.
Yeah, it's pleasure, sex, genitals. All those words.
Those are my favorite words.
Oh. Yeah, everybody's favorite words.
You can't write them without them being flagged, and so you have to kind of write sex with a 3 or a dot or something like that.
Isn't there like a section of Disney called Pleasure Island, or is that just in Orlando?
Isn't that Peter Pan? Yeah, it used to be. It's from Peter Pan the movie, and they had a Pleasure Island section of.
Yeah, it was like where like bars and stuff were. Yeah, I guess they have to change that. Okay. Yeah.
I think there's another thing just around body commentary. Growing up, my sister and I, we had a mother that kind of struggled with weight, and also a stepmom that was like on the other end of the spectrum, was just a weight training and exercise fanatic and diet and low fat, when low fat everything was in trend. And there was a lot of commentary specifically around my sister's body of, you sure you want that rice, that extra rice, because you're getting a little chunky and like those kinds of things. Yeah. And even, making commentary about your own body of, I feel fat, or I feel, These are like, we're modeling for our kids how to be. And you sort of have to like take a look at that.
My husband, I grew up also in 90s diet culture, and a bad self-image, and always being a little bit fat, and always hating myself, and self-conscious of my body, and looking in the mirror and lifting up my shirt and constantly. And my husband is always on me about it. And especially now that my kids are a little older, they have caught me in the mirror lifting up my shirt and looking at my stomach. And my husband's like, see? Look, and now that is one thing I will not give to them. And so as soon as I kind of noticed that happening, I was like, I had to make a conscious effort to stop. But like, it was very obvious they were watching me do that, and kind of like, what is that? And Dad was hating his body, and I'm like, your bodies are perfect, mine is just a shit show. It's like, no. Like, exactly. I need to fix this problem. Yeah.
That's also a screwy, for sure. Well, Court, it's so fascinating. I would imagine an awful lot of people who interact with you think they're coming for one conversation, and they leave with something completely different. That we think it's about, frankly, superficialities and pleasure and whatnot, and really it's
don't say that word.
Just like the human experience. It's so much deeper than that, and goes back to our own childhoods and parenting for sure. But where can our listeners find you? What's the best way to get into the Body Vox?
Yeah, so I'm kind of everywhere. Thebodyvox.com. You can just search my name on Google. Things will come up.
Things will come up. All kinds of things.
Come up. Yeah. Instagram, The Body Vox or Court Vox. I do have a couple. I have a retreat coming up in December of this year in Joshua Tree for LGBTQ men. It's my entry-level retreat. It's called Connect. It's usually a large event, around 21 men. It's a really beautiful experience. It happens over 4 days in the desert. I also run retreats throughout the year, and I have 2 next year that are longer format, 6 days, 6 nights, one in Joshua Tree, one in Mexico.
Cool.
So check it out.
We will check out thebodyvox.com. Now, we are always curious. You have had so many stories, and what a life you've led, and I can't wait to write the book and then see it turned into a movie. But can you tell us about that time that you will never forget, the experience with your son when?
I will never forget the experience with my son. I took him to the beach when he was about 3, and we were there on like a weekday. It was not a lot of people there. He was crawling in the sand, and he kept dropping his apples in the sand and then eating them. And I was like, don't eat that. It's got sand on it. And drop it again and eat it. Remember, he's a very willful child. So it was almost like he was eating it like, I'm going to eat this sandy apple.
Yeah.
And finally I was like, you know what? Eat the sandy apple.
Yeah,
eat the sand. Whatever. Yeah.
You don't want to listen? That's fine. Eat sandy apples. So afterwards, we went to the self-realization center and walked around and had a little picnic and chased geese. And then we're on the way home, and he's like halfway home. We're on Sunset Boulevard, and he's like crying in his car seat. And I'm like, what's coming? Like, it's okay. It's going to be all right. We're almost home. And it became so much that I couldn't ignore it. So I pulled over, and he had shit so much in his diaper that it was like overflowing out of his onto his legs into the car seat, and I was like, holy shit. And it was sandy. Sandy shit. And so I had all kinds of napkins. This is a true parent tip. Keep those napkins in your car always.
A pack of wipes.
And napkins everywhere.
Corner of the world.
I think I used all the napkins in my car to clean that up, and we made it home. But it was like,
oh my God,
it was a shit show.
It was a shit show, and then add a little sand to it. Oh my God, love it.
Little sand,
just a little bit of grit. Well,
exactly.
Grit is where we're going to leave it. But Court, I think that we would all be better off if we listened to more of your lessons and stories. And thank you for coming and demeaning yourself by being on our stupid little podcast.
Thanks, you, Court.
Thanks so much.
So my something great this week, we've kind of had with our top 3 list, and with this, we have kind of had this vintage vibe going, is Highlights magazine.
Oh,
now,
yes.
My son and daughter, both from family, for Christmas last year, they got a 1-year subscription to both Highlights magazine and Ladybug magazine, which is like the younger version of it.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that it shows up every month. And I got to say, it being just like this like lo-fi, analog thing that comes in our house makes it so much more unique. And they get excited every time it comes to them. It's like, oh my God, the Highlights is here. Now, it doesn't take that long to like go through it. But like, there's some drawing things. There's like a joke. The kids submit jokes, and so my son has made up a joke that he's desperate to get in the magazine. So there's like
Highlights magazine. We would love to have you as guests on Gaytriarchs.
Oh, that's a good idea. So anyway, my something great. If you are struggling with like a gift to get somebody, get them Highlights magazine. It's pretty fun.
Very good call. Along the lines of media consumption, for the last few years we've had what I like to call our family summer movie festival, and we schedule out. We basically end up watching TV almost every single. Well, that's not true. Every single night, 3 to 4 nights a week. And
it's a great story, Gavin.
It's always a battle of who's going to choose, right? So we've just assigned Tuesdays to this kid, Wednesdays to this kid, Thursdays to this dad, Fridays to that dad. But I always choose Sundays and Mondays because they tend still, even in the summertime, to be our like least social times. So I know that I'm guaranteed the night to choose. And my kids are idiots and they choose Fridays and Saturdays, which we tend to, can be very busy, right? So anyway, last night was my choice and we watched Jaws.
Oh, such a great summer movie.
50th anniversary. And let me tell you, even though my 13-year-old daughter was laughing at it, understandably, because there's some pretty cheesy cringe stuff in there. There were some great jump scares, and that's something great is a good summer blockbuster jump scare. So I don't recommend this to you with children under the age of, say, 8, 9, 10, but scheduling out your summer movie festival is something that can make the summer great. And
that is our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments for Drunk Gavin, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at David F. M. Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge Devoured underneath the Jaws Bridge in Martha's Vineyard.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll toast you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.